Welcome to thestockmatter.com. I'm Brian Johnson, and we have started a new year. Hope you guys had a good new year. Happy New Year to everybody. Hope you were safe. Hope you had a great time over the weekend. Now, markets open up again on Monday. Coming into January, we're very extended, so we're still looking for that pullback. But let me just reiterate what we have been watching. That is, look down here in this little corner. Can you see the consolidation? And we move up, and then we consolidate, and then we move up, and then we consolidate. Now we put a little bit of a poke out here, so we will be watching this, but I like the lines where I've got them right now. We're trapped here right now on the 60-minute chart in between the 20 and the 50. This has been kind of holding us up most of most of Friday. This held us. We just contained price right in through here, wandered around. So still looking for that potential move one way or the other. We're still waiting for these areas to break. I'm still not sold on that upwards movement because, as you can see from all of the daily charts, really, and I did shrink these in a little bit so you can better see what we're looking at. We have this upper area here, right around the 11,450-ish area. And we are holding sideways. We move up, break it, hold sideways, move up, and sideways. So as long as it does move sideways, things are still okay for the bulls. I've got to give credit to the bulls for holding it up here as long as they have. Maybe we see a little bit of a poke upwards. You're going to want to watch these upper levels. I wouldn't chase it. I'd be very careful about that. If you want to go long, great, but you're going to want to cover and cover quick on any sign of weakness. I just think it's the safest way to be trading right now instead of thinking, oh, it'll come back up. The bulls have been buying it back up. And it's true. Bulls have been buying it back up. Every time we see a dip, we see it bought right back up again. But one of these times, they're not going to do that, and you're going to get yourself caught. So I'd be very careful on any kind of a long trade in through here. Just be very cautious, covering early, taking your profits, calling it good when you get that opportunity. Breaks back below here, what I'm really going to be watching coming into the January month. We want to see if this is going to start to break down here. Then we're going to talk more about that bear pullback. The NASDAQ, even a little bit weaker over the last week or so. And that is consolidating sideways, still showing us a lot of what we're seeing in the other markets. But the NASDAQ just has really struggled since Christmas to kind of push itself up and over these overhead areas. Not a big surprise. Christmas is over, so what's the use? People aren't going to necessarily be buying TVs and iPods anymore. And so the NASDAQ has consolidated into a very nice sideways pattern, making it pretty obvious to me what we're looking for. Breaks down below here, breaks up above here for any kind of trade. I would really like to see this thing get below 2,200 and ultimately 2,180. At that point, then we'll definitely start talking more about that bear case. But until that happens, really, the bulls are still in charge, moving it up sideways, up and sideways, up and sideways. This has been a big trading range here. Just waiting for moves up here or down here, down below here for our entries on the NASDAQ. Daily doing the same thing. This whole move here has held it above the 20-day moving average, and you can see how it did test it. Dipped below it ever so slightly on Friday, but recovered and held above it by the end of the day. So we have come back to retest the 20, and it has still been holding up very nicely over the last week or two. Got to give it to the bulls until something other than this straight sideways pattern changes things for me. Weekly, same type of a thing, starting to put in a little bit of, still getting these dojis up here, but you can see this last week did not manage to squeak out a new high. So we could be in for a little bit of a pullback now. And this could be a very small one. This next week will be very interesting to see what kind of a timbre the markets decide to take coming into early January. Notice that any pullback, still watching for that 2,200 and ultimately 2,180 on the NASDAQ. SPX doing the same thing here. You can see things pretty well contained in and around this particular area. Holding very nicely between what I'm going to say is going to be 1260 and 1250. Really, overall, that's about where we're bouncing around. And it's doing the same thing, consolidate, consolidate, move up, consolidate. As long as it does that, still bullish in the short term. I know we've been stretched, and I know it's been tedious trading for any of you that like to day trade, but this is what it is right now. I cannot allow my bias to take over and, hey, everybody, get short because we're going to drop 80 points in the next 3 days. I mean, I'm completely disingenuous on my side. What we see here is just a sideways base. You could call this a high base. You could call this a pullback. But either way, regardless of what you call it, for the time being, it is bullish. It is bullish. Now, are we expecting pullbacks? Oh, you betcha. Absolutely, and we're more than ready for one here. I think the bears need to pull this back and give the bulls a chance to kind of step aside, rest a little while before they take over the charge again, if that's what they're going to do in the future. But right now, this sideways move remains a bullish move until something more major breaks. The weekly doing the same thing. Now this one did manage to squeak just a bit up and above here, still putting in these little teeny tiny dojis, so you can see we're not moving a whole lot within the markets over the past couple of weeks. Once again, not uncommon to see coming into the end of December. Usually the last couple weeks of December are kind of useless for trading. In most cases, you'll see a slight move to the upside, especially coming into Christmas. And that's kind of exactly what we saw. It was very par for the course, guys, coming into Christmas. Now that January's here, they can show everybody, hey, look at your portfolios, and they can move forward from here. VIX on a daily doing the same thing. We've noticed that there was a little pop in the VIX, but nothing so much that it was, major by any means. And more importantly, as we discussed, this did not have much of an effect on the markets. We had a big move up Thursday and Friday of last week. Or Friday and Monday maybe, over the last couple weeks. And no moves to the contrary in the markets. So, fear indicator is bumping up a little bit, but the markets did not move with it. So, no confirmation on that side tells me that, once again, we could be in a situation where things might have just been a little bit of window dressing at the end of the month. With that being done, we did hold above this mark on the weekly. First time we've done that since back here in November. Notice how we had a big spike up in the VIX. I was looking for confirmation the following week, and we did not get it. We came right back down into these lower areas. So here we are again, back out of this particular move. However, need that confirmation, guys. Still looking for that confirmation. It's anybody's guess if we get it coming into this next week of trading. Apple on a 60-minute, you can see that we are still wandering a little bit sideways here. And these levels we've been watching for a while continue to hold. I drew in a couple of new lines, but nothing's really changed for me in my book. Once again, Apple, like the rest of the markets, in a big consolidation. Apple in particular, and you'll see that as we move forward with some of these other charts. I like to keep Apple on my charts. I've been using it for quite a while because it has been pretty decent to trade. You can see here that 320, 318 and 315 still my levels to break to the downside, whereas if it'll just hang above this 320-ish mark, things remain still more neutral to bullish on the Apple charts. If you guys are looking for any kind of trades coming into next week, you want to see this thing get back up and over this 324.5 to 325.5 mark before you start looking for any day type trades, safe day type trades within Apple. All we've seen right now, guys, is I've squeezed all this in so we can see these a little bit better. Once we got above this 320-ish mark, 318-ish mark here, you can see where we've consolidated. Little tiny moves up. This just looks right now to be just a pullback in the short term until we break these lower levels. So another very interesting week could be in store for Apple here. If we get breaks back up and over 325, 326, could make for some very good entries to the long side back into Apple again. Otherwise, below 320, below 318, if you want to short it, have at it. Apple's a very strong stock. I'd be very cautious about doing that. But breaks of 320, 318, 315 in particular, if we get below this 50-day moving average and close below there, I'd be very cautious about the long move within Apple. That might give some of you guys that got in way back here an opportunity to get out and wait for a little lower price if you like to do that. Wait for a lower price to get back in again on Apple. Apple Weekly, same type of thing here. I drew in a couple of kind of channel lines here to give you an idea of what we're looking at for price. And you can see it very well contained in here. But weekly-wise, we haven't gone anywhere about 4 or 5 weeks, really just sideways. Overall, still hanging right at or around this 320-ish area, waiting for the next big move. If this thing moves upwards, though, we could see prices go into 330, 340. Anybody's guess. It's all uncharted territory up there. FAS, same type of thing. Still looking at this right here, moving sideways over the last day or so, waiting for breaks above 28.25 and below 27.25 for your trades in FAS coming into the new week. I think that fits very well with what we're seeing here. This just looks like a pullback at the time being. If you want to be a more conservative trader, wait till it breaks this 27 area, then watch for a target of the 20-day at that point. FAZ, same type of thing, moving sideways, kind of in a little consolidation here, holding between the two blue channel lines and also between these two support resistance lines. So you can see it basing as well. I'm still more sold on this one short below 930 and long above the 10, really the kind of the $10 mark. If you want to front run this a little bit above 970, yeah, I could see it. Above 970, above 980 if you want to get a little bit more aggressive in that trading. And then from a daily, same thing. Above the 20-day, which is going to be right about, that $10 area, and then above 1050 above that. So below us still, the 930 mark, I think, is still a pretty accurate short. And that'll do it for today's video. Okay, so brand new year. Everything is back in play again, as in all the fat cats on Wall Street are coming back to work, and I don't expect maybe, fireworks the first day. Could be kind of a slow move to start the week, but watch for some acceleration coming into the week. And some good trading made available to us here. Maybe, let's go ahead and guess that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday time frame for this week. And we'll be watching that very closely. And as always, I'll be back with you again tomorrow. Bye.